What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord, Dr. Professor, Dark Joker, with another edition of Where, Pick, and Dare, where I pick games for the various games that are occurring tomorrow. Whether it's football, baseball, basketball, basically whatever games I want to pick, I will pick them. With all that being said, on with the video. College women's basketball. Alabama Crimson Tide versus Louisville Cardinals. This is part of the second round of the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Um, Bama has a 18% chance to win, and Louisville's a 82% chance to win. This game is at Louisville, Kentucky, so it's definitely a home field advantage for Louisville. So Alabama's a 6 seed, 24-10 record. Louisville's a 3 seed, 28-7 record. For stats, Louisville is more points per game. Alabama is more points against. Louisville's a higher field goal percentage and is more rebounds per game, assists per game. Bama is more blocks per game, and Louisville is more steals per game. These stats are pretty close, so I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think Louisville will beat Alabama tomorrow. Virginia Cavaliers versus Iowa Hawkeyes. This is part of the second round of the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Virginia has a 16.9% chance to win, and Iowa's a 3.1% chance to win. This game is at Iowa. Virginia's a 10 seed, 21-11 record. Iowa's a 2 seed, 27-6 record. For stats, Iowa has more points per game, points against, higher field goal percentage. Virginia has more rebounds per game. Iowa has more assists per game. Virginia has more blocks per game and steals per game. These stats are pretty close, so I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think Iowa will beat Virginia tomorrow. Notre Dame Fire and Irish versus Ohio State Buckeyes. This is part of the second round, the NCAA women's basketball tournament. So Notre Dame has a 37.5% chance to win, and Ohio State has a 62.5% chance to win. This game is at Ohio State. Notre Dame's a 6 seed, 23-10 record. Ohio State's a 3 seed, 27-7 record. For stats, Ohio State has more points per game, points against. Notre Dame's a higher field goal percentage. Ohio State has more rebounds per game, assists per game, blocks per game, and Notre Dame is more steals per game. These stats are pretty close, so I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think Ohio State will beat Notre Dame tomorrow. Kentucky Wildcats versus West Virginia Mountaineers. Kentucky is a 47.9% chance to win, and West Virginia has a 52.1% chance to win. This is part of the second round of the NCAA women's basketball tournament. This game is at West Virginia, so Kentucky's a 5 seed, 24-10 record. West Virginia's a 4 seed, 28-6 record. First stats, West Virginia has more points per game. Kentucky has more points against. West Virginia has a higher field goal percentage. Kentucky has more rebounds per game, assists per game, blocks per game, and West Virginia has more steals per game. These stats are pretty close, so I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think West Virginia will beat Kentucky tomorrow. Syracuse Orange versus UConn Huskies. This is part of the second round of the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Syracuse has a 1% chance to win. UConn has a 99% chance to win. This game is at UConn. Syracuse is a 9 seed, 24-8 record. UConn is a 1 seed, 35-0 record. For stats, UConn has more points per game. Syracuse has more points against. UConn has a higher field goal percentage. Syracuse has more rebounds per game. UConn has more assists per game. Syracuse has more blocks per game, and UConn has more steals per game. The stats that have a big difference here are points per game, points against, and field goal percentage. Points per game is a 14.4 difference in favor of UConn. Points against is a 13.0 difference in favor of UConn. And field goal percentage is a 10% difference in favor of UConn. The other stats are pretty close. So with the points against field goal percentage advantage, along with the home field advantage, I think UConn will beat Syracuse tomorrow. Illinois Fighting Illini versus Vanderbilt Commodores. This is part of the second round of the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Um, Illinois has a 18.6% chance to win. Vandy is a 1.4% chance to win. This game is at Vandy. Illinois is a 7 seed, 22-11 record. Vandy's a 2 seed, 28-4 record. For stats, Vandy has more points per game. Illinois has more points against. Vandy's a higher field goal percentage and has more rebounds per game, assists per game, blocks per game, and steals per game. These stats are pretty close, so I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think Vanderbilt will beat Illinois tomorrow. USC Trojans versus South Carolina Gamecocks. This is part of second round of the NCAA women's basketball tournament. USC is a 5.7% chance to win, and South Carolina has a 94.3% chance to win. This game is at South Carolina. So USC is a 9 seed, 18-13 record. South Carolina is a 1 seed, 32-3 record. For stats, South Carolina has more points per game. USC has more points against. South Carolina has a higher field goal percentage and has more rebounds per game, assists per game, blocks per game, and steals per game. The only stats that are really a big difference here are points per game and field goal percentage. Points per game is a 16.8 difference in favor of South Carolina, and field goal percentage is a 10% difference in favor of South Carolina. So with those two advantages and the home field advantage, I think South Carolina will beat USC tomorrow. Oklahoma State Cowboys versus UCLA Bruins. This is part of the second round of the NCAA women's basketball tournament. Um, Oklahoma State has a 3.2% chance to win, and UCLA is a 96.8% chance to win. This game is at UCLA. So Oklahoma State is an 8 seed, 24-9 record. UCLA is a 1 seed, 32-1 record. For stats, UCLA has more points per game. Oklahoma State has more points against. UCLA is a higher field goal percentage. It has more rebounds per game, assists per game, blocks per game, and Oklahoma State has more steals per game. These stats are pretty close, so I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think UCLA will beat Oklahoma State tomorrow. NBA. Los Angeles Lakers versus Detroit Pistons. The Lakers have a 36.8% chance to win. The Pistons have a 63.2% chance to win. This is at Detroit. For injuries, for the Lakers, Smith Jr., Smart, Kleber, and Hachimura are game time decisions. For the Pistons, Sasser, Cunningham, and Stewart are out. For stats, the Pistons have more points per game. Lakers have more points against and have a higher field goal percentage. Pistons have more rebounds per game, assists per game, blocks per game, and steals per game. These stats are pretty close, so I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think the Pistons will beat the Lakers tomorrow. Oklahoma City Thunder versus Philadelphia 76ers. Um, the Thunder have an 82.4% chance to win. The Sixers have a 17.6% chance to win. This game is at Philadelphia. For injuries, well, for the Thunder, Mitchell's out for suspension and Sorber's out. For the Sixers, Barlow's a game time decision. Embiid, Oubre Jr., Maxey, and Broom are out. So for stats, the Thunder have more points per game. Sixers have more points against. Thunder have a higher field goal percentage and more rebounds per game, assists per game. Sixers have more blocks per game, and Thunder have more steals per game. These stats are pretty close. Now, home field advantage might help here, but with all the injury issues with the Sixers, I think the Thunder will beat the 76ers tomorrow. San Antonio Spurs versus Miami Heat. The Spurs have a 61.6% chance to win. The Heat have a 38.4% chance to win. This game is, at Miami. Um, so for injuries, for the Spurs, Vassell and Castle are game time decisions, and Jones Garcia's out. For the Heat, Jacquez Jr., Powell, Wiggins, and Young are game time decisions, and Rozier's out for a non-injury reason. For stats, the Heat have more points per game, points against. Spurs have a higher field goal percentage. Heat have more rebounds per game, assists per game. Spurs have more blocks per game, and Heat have more steals per game. These stats are pretty close, so I think home field advantage is going to be a big thing here. So I think the Heat will beat the Spurs tomorrow. And that's it for picks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my picks. Do you agree with them? Do you not? If you have different picks, you can put them in the comments. But other than that, please like, subscribe, and all that. Thank you for listening, and look forward to the next video.